Leica Radio.
Talking Points with Keith VAZ on Leica Radio 1458 AM.
Good morning and welcome to Talking Points with Keith VAZ. Thank you for joining me today on Sunday the 3rd of May 2020. The programme this week is slightly different. The whole of Talking Points will highlight the emergency appeal of the British Asian Trust and its support for the victims of coronavirus abroad, in particular in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. We will be speaking to the charity and its partners in Mumbai, Karachi, Dhaka and Colombo. Later, we will hear from one of the Trust's charity ambassadors, Atul Kochhar, one of a handful of Indian chefs with a Michelin star. We will go to Leicester to talk to Dharmesh Lakhani, who's chosen our songs today, and to Noura Ali in Birmingham. But we start today with a message from His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales, the royal founding patron of the British Asian Trust. Here is Prince Charles.
Ladies and gentlemen, the current public health crisis is a challenge which confronts us all, in every community and in every part of the world. In the United Kingdom, I know that the British Asian community is playing a vital role in the response to this crisis, whether in the NHS or as key workers in other roles, or through the wonderful work being done by volunteers and local initiatives through temples, mosques and gurdwaras to support all members of all communities. I know too that the British Asian community is deeply concerned about the welfare and well-being of people in South Asia, where this pernicious virus and the disruption it causes is having such a profound effect on the lives and livelihoods of millions. With this in mind, as the royal founding patron of the British Asian Trust, I wanted to lend my support to the launch of an emergency appeal to help those who are suffering most across India, Pakistan, Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. I started the British Asian Trust 13 years ago with the help of members of the British Asian community to support those in greatest need in South Asia. Over this time, the Trust has supported nearly 5 million people. Today, to play its part in responding to this pandemic, the British Asian Trust, in partnership with local organisations and governments, is ramping up its work to support the daily basic needs of the poorest and the most vulnerable. Across the region, an estimated 40 million children are in need. Over 400 million daily workers have seen their livelihoods disappear with no form of income and no savings. And they and their families now face a fight for survival. The British Asian Trust's COVID emergency appeal will support those in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh and Sri Lanka who need it most. With your generosity, ladies and gentlemen, the British Asian Trust will help those who have nowhere else to turn and offer hope to those who face the most desperate circumstances. With your help, we can make a difference. I need hardly say how deeply grateful I will be for your generous support.
That was His Royal Highness Prince Charles the Prince of Wales as he launched the British Asian Trust's emergency appeal. We're going to take a short break after written by Kishore Khan, who created the fusion Asian South American band Loki Terra. The song is called Lal Mary and it comes from the new album which is to be launched in May. Thank you, Kishore, for your help with the emergency appeal.
Leica.
This is Leica Radio.
Ramadan
This is Talking Points with Keith VAZ on Leica Radio 1458 AM.
This is an emergency appeal on behalf of the British Asian Trust. Tens of millions of families across South Asia are facing life or death situations because of COVID-19. Coronavirus has changed all of our lives. The royal founding patron of the British Asian Trust, His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales, has launched the Trust's appeal, which shows that in South Asia, the crisis is becoming a catastrophe for families. Please donate £10 to this appeal by texting 10TRUST to 70470. Texts cost £10 plus your standard rate message. Help us to save lives and save communities.
Leica.
This is Leica Radio.
Welcome back. This is Talking Points with Keith VAZ on Leica Radio 1458. We've heard from His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales, Prince Charles, the patron of the British Asian Trust. Let's go over to Mumbai and talk to Salim Khan, the India director of the British Asian Trust, about the work the Trust is doing there. Good morning, Salim.
Good morning, Keith.
Now tell me about the current situation in Mumbai. Is India still in a state of lockdown?
Oh, yes, Keith. The country is in a state of a complete lockdown with all movement, all business activities totally suspended, except for absolutely essential services. So people have been advised to stay at home, practice social distancing, and it's great that, everyone in India is absolutely adhering to it. But there are a lot of issues that the communities are facing. We're seeing mass migration of daily wage workers from the cities to the villages where they belong. So these are daily wage workers who have been left with absolutely no means of work or employment currently in India, which means no work means no means of earning money, no money means no food. And actually most of them currently are in a terrible situation.
So how is the British Asian Trust assisting local communities in Mumbai?
So we're actually trying to basically focus on providing cash transfers to meet immediate needs of this migrant worker population, which is the most deepest impacted right now, providing food and medical support kits. We've identified partner organizations who are providing counseling support through the migrant helplines and also guiding this particular population on actual ways and means of accessing government support schemes, Keith, because the government has released some excellent schemes which this population can avail of. It's just that they don't know how to go about it and how to avail of those schemes. So British Asian Trust is doing everything it takes to support these communities and having access to those schemes.
And if we get an idea of the essentials, obviously the appeal has been launched and money was going to be sent to support your work. If you can think of the top 3 essentials that people need in the communities there at the moment, what would they be, the top 3?
So they are the basics. So the top 3 are absolutely food and ration. These are the supplies for them to keep their daily lives going, So, and then medical support kits, because the situation is such that, for example, social distancing for the communities is actually a luxury because they don't have access to preventive equipment like masks or things which will prevent them from contacting this epidemic. So we're keeping it basic, providing food and medical support kits and preventive equipment to the communities to tide through these crisis times right now.
Salim Khan, thank you on behalf of all of us here at Leica Radio 1458 for your support to the local communities and good luck with the work that you are doing.
Thank you, Keith. Thanks for having me.
From Mumbai, let's travel over to Karachi, where I have on the line Kamala Mavi, the Pakistan director of the British Asian Trust. Good morning, Kamala.
Good morning, Keith.
Now, tell me what the situation is like at the moment in Karachi and Pakistan. Is Karachi still in lockdown?
Yes, actually, Karachi went into lockdown quite early on. In fact, the Sindh province, which is where Karachi is based, started closing down schools literally after the first case of corona around 26th of February. So we had a very early lockdown. But unfortunately, over time, there is some level of exhaustion with the lockdown. There's a lot of confusion as well. So while we did go into lockdown in a proper way by 22nd March, I think now we are finding that it is slowly disintegrating.
Yes.
We're finding people are going back onto the streets. Yeah.
Sure. What is the British Asian Trust doing at the moment with local communities? How are they helping local communities in Karachi?
British Asian Trust has been doing work here for almost 10 years, and main thrust of our work has been in two areas, livelihoods and mental health. Both of them are sort of areas where we have done large development-based programs with multiple very good partners who work on the ground with us.
And if we are successful with this appeal, as I hope we will be, what kind of things will you be doing with the resources and the money you get from the British Asian community here in the United Kingdom?
So we would like to put this money toward two areas which are of greatest of needs. The first is livelihood. So there's been a lot of loss of livelihoods, and we hope that we will be doing cash transfers. And the reason why I say cash transfers, why I think that is really important rather than necessarily only giving food, etc., is it empowers families to do what they need to. Some families have critical health issues going on. Some people need to pay rent, need to pay loans. So there is crisis of many sorts that families are facing. So we hope that some of this money will be going towards cash transfers. Some of the money will also be going towards healthcare, because as the disease spreads more and more, there is a lot of trouble with healthcare in Pakistan. So a lot of protective equipment is required, etc.
Yes. Kamala, thank you so much for joining us today. On behalf of all our listeners at Leica Radio 1458, the best of luck with what you're doing in Karachi, Pakistan. Keep up the good work.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
This is Leica Radio.
Leica Radio.
Why take a risk to go out for banking when you can do all your banking with Yono SBI UK mobile app?
And now you can open an account without going to the bank. SBI UK allows you to open an instant access savings account online from your home. You can have an international debit card even, and 0.5% interest on your balance.
Visit sbiuk.statebank to open an account online.
SBI UK, a bank that takes care of you and your savings too.
Stay safe, stay at home, bank with SBI UK.
Anil's on his phone right now, but he's not checking the cricket scores again or scrolling through photos of other people's lunch. He's actually sending money home.
Hey Ma, this should help with the bills.
Like Anil, you can send money with TransferGo, the money transfer service that runs on Ripple. Visit transfergo.co.uk and send money to India in 30 minutes. TransferGo. High speeds, low fees, and no hassle. TransferGo is regulated by the FCA. T's and C's apply.
क्या आपको कैश की सख्त जरूरत है? Southall's most trusted Wasim Jewelers can help you. Gold के बदले कैश दिलाते हैं. Call Wasim Jewelers for best rates for your gold. 0208 571 1193. wasimjewelers.co.uk.
मेरे पापा को गुलाब जामुन बहुत पसंद है.
Order online at pujasweets.com. From barfi, laddus, gulab jamun to samosa and gathia. From catering starters to dessert. Puja Sweets and Savories. Abhi call kijiye 0208 672 4523 par.
Are you building your business or promoting a brand? Do you need new customers? Or do you need to keep your name in the mind of all your customers? Then you need to advertise on Leica Radio 1458 and Dilsay 1035. Our stations cater for a large audience of South Asians who live and work in and around Greater London. Call our experienced sales team on 0207 132 1458 and you can be on air in no time at all. That's 0207 132 1458.
Welcome back. This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458. We have been to Mumbai. We've travelled to Karachi to talk to representatives of the British Asian Trust. We're now going to go to Dhaka in Bangladesh to talk to Mutushi Kabir, who is from the organisation called BRAC, which is a very famous South Asian voluntary and community group, and they work in partnership with the British Asian Trust. Good morning, Mutushi.
Hi, good morning, Keith.
Now tell me about the situation in Dhaka in Bangladesh. Are you all still under lockdown there?
Yes, lockdown has just reached a little over a month, and the general holiday currently the government has extended till 5th May.
And does this prevent you and your organisation carrying out the work that you all were doing as far as local people are concerned, or are you carrying on as normal?
No, actually, BRAC's core strength is community mobilization and working on the grassroots. So from the very onset of the crisis, we have mobilized our entire organization in raising healthcare awareness, in providing the right support that the people need. So currently, more than 138,000 BRAC staff, healthcare workers and volunteers are actively working on the ground, going door to door and giving people essential in healthcare awareness.
And what are you doing in terms of specific projects for local people? And in particular, what will you all do when we raise the money for the British Asian Trust? How will you spend that money locally in Dhaka?
So the first phase of our program was actually to train and provide personal protective equipment, safety equipment to our field staff. So all these 138,000 staff were trained properly so that they maintain proper social distancing and they know. And in the second phase of the campaign, we actually did a massive health awareness campaign. We reached 32 million people with essential information. We provided personal protective equipment to government hospitals and distributed 1.5 million hygiene products in the community. However, as you know, in countries like Bangladesh, it's not just a health pandemic. It's an economic crisis. It's a humanitarian crisis. So we have also launched a cash assistance program where we have reached 200,000 low-income families. We provide around $18 or 1,500 taka to a 4-member family for 2 weeks essential food sustenance. So any donation we receive from British Asian Trust and from the general public will go to support the most vulnerable in the community. We prioritize people who are elderly, we prioritize people with disabilities, pregnant and women, lactating mothers, and women-led households. We also prioritize people with disabilities and who live in hard-to-reach areas.
Mutushi, I don't think there's a single member of the Bangladeshi diaspora in the UK that does not know of the work of BRAC. So on behalf of all our listeners of Leica Radio 1458, the best of luck in terms of what you're doing, and thank you very much for all the humanitarian work that BRAC with the British Asian Trust is doing in Bangladesh.
Thank you to you and the listeners as well.
Let's now go just outside Colombo in Sri Lanka, about 20 kilometres away, and talk to Charminda Rajakaruna, who is the Executive Director of Saravodia, which is a partner working with the British Asian Trust. Good morning, Charminda.
Good morning, Keith.
Now tell me about the situation in Sri Lanka and more particularly in Colombo. Is it still in a lockdown situation and how are people coping?
Yes, Keith, it's still the lockdown, and for the last 7 weeks we have been in the lockdown. So Colombo is one of the hardest hit districts and hardest hit city. You know, obviously it's a capital city with more population, more informal sector, more informal employment, daily paid workers likewise. So Colombo is very much hit by this COVID-19 epidemic, and people have found it very difficult to cope up because the lockdown came with curfew. So technically, legally, nobody could go out even to get their rations and even to, serve their other colleagues or relatives or anybody. So in Colombo, the things are very bad right now.
Now, the situation needs to be alleviated by organisations like your own. In each year, I understand you help about 50,000 people. If we are successful in the appeal, which projects, what type of projects will you prioritise in Sri Lanka?
Keith, our priorities right now is daily paid workers and informal sector employment who lost their jobs and income sources, so they can't have their rations, they can't have their food on time to their families. So we are supporting, and already we have supported such 7,000 families around Colombo and other districts. And secondly, we are working with care homes, we are working with children's homes, elderly homes, probation homes, and women's safe houses likewise. So the total number is 829 homes across the country with 23,000 inhabitants. So at the invitation of the government, Sarodaya is working with the civil society collective to serve these peoples. Thirdly, I think we need to have a behavioral change with the people because COVID-19, it's creating a new normal in the world. So social distancing and other stuff, how to use social media to create awareness. Because, Sri Lanka elevated the malaria. So we don't have malaria anymore in Sri Lanka. So what we did is we keep on going on with the awareness and behavioral change with people. So COVID-19, in the times to come, we think that's going to be one of the major initiatives of Sarodaya for the people.
Well, thank you very much. And on behalf of all the listeners of Leica Radio 1458, the best of luck for the work that you're doing in Colombo and throughout Sri Lanka. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you so much for all the support. Thank you.
This is Leica Radio.
बदल रही है रूप जिंदगी, छाँव है कभी कभी है धूप जिंदगी, हर पल यहाँ जी भर जियो, जो है समा कल हो न हो, हर घड़ी बदल रही है रूप जिंदगी, छाँव है कभी कभी है धूप जिंदगी, हर पल यहाँ जी भर जियो, जो है समा कल हो न हो। जो कोई कहीं है, बस वही सब से हंसी है, उस हाथ को तुम थाम लो, वो मेहरबान कल हो न हो, हर पल यहाँ जी भर जियो, जो है समा के साए, पास कोई जो आए, लाख संभालो पागल दिल को, दिल धड़के ही जाए। पर सोच लो इस पल है जो वो दास्तां कल हो न हो। हर घड़ी बदल रही है रूप जिंदगी, छाँव है कभी कभी है धूप जिंदगी। हर पल यहाँ जी भर जियो, जो है समा कल हो न हो। हर पल यहाँ जी भर जियो, जो है समा कल हो न हो। जो है समा कल हो ना हो।
This is Talking Points with Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458 AM. Leica Radio.
At Asda, we're working hard to keep shelves full and prices low. Get bold 2-in-1 washing liquid 38 washes was £6, now £4. And the Knorr fabric conditioner 54 washes was £3, now £2.50. Find thousands more rollbacks in store. Most of our stores are now open until 10 p.m. Asda. Selected stores online subject to availability.
घर तो ले लिया, लेकिन रेंट पर नहीं चढ़ा। अब क्या करूं मैं?
अरे आप क्यों टेंशन ले रही हो, मैं बताता हूँ ना।
I'm serious, मुझे बहुत टेंशन हो रही है। लॉकडाउन की वजह से टेनेंट्स ही नहीं मिल रहे।
अरे जस्ट रिलैक्स, अब गहरी सांस लो और ध्यान से सुनो।
ZFA ग्रुप आपके लिए लाया है गारंटीड रेंट विद 0% कमीशन, फ्री मेंटेनेंस और 40 साल का एक्सपीरियंस। और तो और ये एक अप्रूव्ड लोकल अथॉरिटी एजेंट है। आपका काम बस प्रॉपर्टी देना है, उसके बाद ZFA ग्रुप आपकी प्रॉपर्टी का ख्याल रखेगा। गारंटीड रेंट के बारे में और जानने के लिए और आपकी प्रॉपर्टी के सारे सवालों के जवाबों के लिए कॉल कीजिए 0208 514 3333 पर। That's 0208 514 3333 या वेबसाइट पर जाइए www.zfagroup.com पर।
Are you self-employed? Do you know the government is giving all self-employed a grant for up to £7,500? DNS Accountants can help you get this grant. Speak to DNS Accountants now on 03300 886686. That's 03300 886686.
अस्सलामुअलैकुम, मैं अनीसा नासिर हूँ। रमजान मुबारक। उमूमन इस माह मुबारक में दोस्तों और रिश्तेदारों के साथ मिलकर वक्त सहर की तैयारी और वक्त इफ्तार में इकट्ठे होना, इज्तिमाई इबादत करना शामिल होता है। लेकिन इस साल माह रमजान बहुत मुख्तलिफ है। मैं और मेरी फैमिली घर में रहते हुए ही दोस्तों और रिश्तेदारों के साथ थैंक्स टू टेक्नोलॉजी इबादत भी करते हैं और राब्ते में भी हैं। आप भी घरों पे रहिए, NHS को प्रोटेक्ट कीजिए और जिंदगियाँ बचाइए।
Tilda Basmati rice provides healthy tips. Whether together or apart, during this COVID-19, let's cook the Tilda-licious way. Join Azmina Govindji this Friday on my show, The Ruby Raza Show, between 1 and 2 p.m, where she'll be sharing healthy and nutritious meal tips during the pandemic of COVID-19 and some mouth-watering recipes. Tilda Basmati rice wishes everyone Ramadan Mubarak. Stay home, stay safe.
You're listening to Leica Radio.
With the latest traffic and travel next.
Pakistan is calling. The mobile plan you've been waiting for has arrived. You can now get 1,000 minutes to call Pakistan from your Leica mobile with Pakistan Plus M bundle. You can also get 3 GB of data and 1,000 minutes and text in the UK. All of that for the low price of £20 for 30 days. Never miss the chance to keep in touch with your family again with Leica Mobile. Visit leicamobile.co.uk to see the full offer today. T&Cs apply. Leica Mobile.
Leica Radio Travel Update.
I'm Paula Brett. On the northbound M3, we've got a lane blocked by a broken down car. That's from Junction 3 for Bagshot and Lightwater to Junction 2 for the M25. The A1 at South Mims, that's Junction 1 for the M25. The traffic lights are out of action. Take extra care if you're headed that way. The North Circular Road eastbound has a lane closed for emergency repairs at the 4th Street Tunnel. And taking a look at New Southgate, Station Road remains flooded in both directions between the North Circular and Lower Park Road. Take extra care if you are headed that way. Onto the trains, and because of engineering works today, no service for C2C at Liverpool Street, no service either for Great Northern between Finsbury Park and Moorgate, and no service for South Eastern between Charing Cross and London Bridge. That's the latest traffic and travel.
Leica Radio. Talking Points with Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458 AM.
Welcome back. This is Talking Points with Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458. As you know, we've dedicated today's programme to support the emergency appeal of the British Asian Trust. I am now delighted that we are to be joined by one of the Trust's global ambassadors. Atul Kochhar is one of the most celebrated Indian chefs in the UK, if not the world. He was the first Indian chef to receive a Michelin star. Followers of MasterChef will know exactly what that means. He has recently opened a new restaurant, Kanishka in Maddox Street in London, and that joins 3 others that he has: Sindhu in Marlow, Hawkins in Amersham, and the Indian Essence in Petswood. He is also, of course, a star of YouTube. Good morning, Atul.
Morning, Keith.
Now, how did you get involved in the work of the British Asian Trust?
Keith, I was fortunate to be asked by Clarence House to cook for Prince Charles back in 28 or 29, I think. And I had opportunity to meet HRH, and quite shamelessly, I asked him that I would like to work for you if possible in whichever capacity. And he said, I would love you to come and join British Asia Trust and work with us. And that was it. And since then, I have been member of British Asian Trust, and I am kind of a very proud member. I go out wherever I could to raise money for the trust, which helps thousands.
Now, you must have been called upon in your long and distinguished career to help a lot of worthwhile causes. I know you're also an ambassador for Find Your Feet, an organisation that helps people who are very poor in the diaspora areas of India. How are you confident that the amount of money that is raised will actually get to the people who need it?
I'm quite confident, Keith, because the way British Asian Trust works, they work first-hand with the charities which are on the ground root level. And there is actually very minimal disappearance of funds, to be honest, or actually no disappearance of funds. And it goes straight to the people where it means. And I've seen that many times at the ground root level. I worked across India. I was planning to go to Bangladesh in the coming times because I personally like to get my hands dirty. I want to work at that grassroots level and make sure that people are benefiting out of it. And whatever I have seen firsthand, to be honest, I've been very satisfied, very happy, and it's been very fulfilling.
So you're very confident that whatever is raised will really get to the people who need it?
I'm pretty confident because at the moment, what's worrying most in South Asian countries is the very basic thing, it's hunger. You know, I think the virus will kill people later, but hunger will kill them first. So we need to get them to eat first and eat healthy, eat properly. So I'm very confident that organizations where VAT comes into play, they're making sure that people are being fed properly through their money.
Now, you're, as I said, a star of YouTube, and I hope in the future we're going to have you on for a longer time on this program, working through some recipes with us. But in the meantime, lockdown is a real issue for people because there's a tendency to snack, there's a tendency to miss breakfast because people get up later because they're at home and working from home. I'm going to ask you to give us a celebrity recipe that we can follow that's easy as a result of the lockdown. What should we be eating? What's your recommended recipe for us today?
You know, one thing which we all have been doing, and I started this as well, that snacking and waking up late and then eating mindlessly, to be honest. But then I came to my senses very quickly. I said, this will be a problem if I'm not exercising enough and not standing on my feet longer hours. So I wake up early and make breakfast so that nobody misses breakfast. So I wake everybody up as well at home. And I've been breakfast cook in my house for a long time. I have a very good track record of being a breakfast cook. So I cook for my family, especially for my wife, Dipti, who kind of gets very busy in the morning with the kids to drop them to school and all that. So one thing which I've noticed that, finances are going to be tough as well. And also the ideas you run out. And no matter how much your fridge is filled, but there are only that many ingredients. So I've started using whatever I have on my shelf. And just 2 days ago, I made made something which I'm very proud of and very healthy, very nutritious. So it's actually, my wife had bought a can of three bean salad, and I used that to saute with a little bit of onions and celery. Very minimal spice. I had used just cumin and salt in that, nothing else. And then I just broke eggs, 4 or 5 eggs on top of the beans and put the lid on very little slow heat, which took about 5 to 7 minutes. And eggs got curdled nicely, and I put a little bit of cheese and salt and pepper on top. And then I scooped it out and gave 1 or 2 eggs, depending on how much appetite everyone had at home. Turned out to be an amazing breakfast, and you have it with toast. It's super healthy. It keeps you going for a longer time. Beans are super nutritious, so is egg. So you're actually not gorging on things that are bad for you.
There we have it, an original breakfast recipe for Like a Radio listeners, 1458, from one of our greatest chefs. Atul Kosha, thank you so much for joining us today, and I'm sure we will have you on in the future, and good luck with all the excellent work you're doing as an ambassador for the British Asian Trust.
Thank you so much for having me.
Like a Radio.
This is an emergency appeal on behalf of the British Asian Trust. Tens of millions of families across South Asia are facing life or death situations because of COVID-19. Coronavirus has changed all of our lives. The royal founding patron of the British Asian Trust, His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales, has launched the Trust's appeal, which shows that in South Asia, the crisis is becoming a catastrophe for families. Please donate £10 to this appeal by texting 10TRUST to 70470. Texts cost £10 plus your standard rate message. Help us to save lives and save communities.
एक दिन बिक जाएगा माटी के मोल, जग में रह जाएंगे प्यारे तेरे बोल। एक दिन बिक जाएगा माटी के मोल, जग में रह जाएंगे प्यारे तेरे बोल। दूजे के होठों को देकर अपने गीत, कोई निशानी छोड़ फिर दुनिया से डोल। एक दिन बिक जाएगा माटी के मोल, जग में रह जाएंगे प्यारे तेरे बोल। ला 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 ला। अनहोनी पथ में कांटे लाख बिछाए, होनी तो फिर भी बिछड़ा यार मिलाए। अनहोनी पथ में कांटे लाख बिछाए, होनी तो फिर भी बिछड़ा यार मिलाए। ये बिरहा ये दूरी दो पल की मजबूरी, फिर कोई दिल वाला काहे को घबराए। करम पम धारा जो बहती है मिलके रहती है, बहती धारा बन जा फिर दुनिया से डोल। एक दिन बिक जाएगा माटी के मोल, जग में रह जाएंगे प्यारे तेरे बोल। ला 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 ला। पर्दे के पीछे बैठी सांवल गोरी थाम के तेरे मेरे मन की डोरी पर्दे के पीछे बैठी सांवल गोरी थाम के तेरे मेरे मन की डोरी ये डोरी ना छूटे ये बंधन ना टूटे भोर होने वाली है अब रहना है थोड़ी करम तम सर को झुकाए तू बैठा क्या है यार गोरी से नैना जोड़ फिर दुनिया से डोल एक दिन बिक जाएगा माटी के मोल जग में रह जाएंगे प्यारे तेरे बोल तुझे के होठों को देकर अपने गीत कोई निशानी छोड़ फिर दुनिया से डोल एक दिन बिक जाएगा माटी के मोल जग में रह जाएंगे प्यारे तेरे बोल ला 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 La la
This is Talking Points with Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458 AM.
Welcome back. This is Keith Vaz on Leica Radio 1458. We're going over to Leicester now to talk to Dharmesh Lakhani, the owner of the famous Bobby's restaurant on the Belgrave Road, one of the busiest Asian roads in the country. Good morning, Dharmesh.
Good morning, Keith.
Now tell me, what is it like on the Belgrave Road during the lockdown?
If I'm really honest, it's eerily quiet. There are very few pedestrians. There is some traffic, but obviously it's a thoroughfare into the city. But it's eerily quiet, and in a way it's good because people are abiding by social distancing, and it's very somber, really.
And in terms of your own business, obviously you have hundreds of people going in every single week to Bobby's restaurant on the Belgrave Road. They can't go in now. How are you coping with that, with the government scheme for compensation, and how are you keeping in touch with your customers and your members of staff?
As you said, Keith, due to this COVID-19 situation we're in, we are closed at the moment until allowed to reopen by the government. It's a very difficult time. The government have introduced grants and loans as well, and which we are looking into. And so far, so good. If I'm honest, the help so far received has been good. In terms of customers, we are trying to keep in touch with them via social media, Instagram, WhatsApp, little bits like that. And similarly with our colleagues, we are trying to do video call, video chat, and also WhatsApp groups where we can all talk to each other. So just to keep the morale up a bit, it's very important that.
Do you think one of the benefits, one of the very few benefits of lockdown has been you spending a lot more time with your family, with your wife Ina and your sons? Were you pleased to be able to do that?
If I'm really honest, yes, I am, Keith. As you said, my wife, Ina, we spend a lot of time together anyway. But I've got two sons, Arjun, who's studying medicine at Oxford, and Karan, who's studying economics at Birmingham. They're not normally in Leicester. Obviously, they're studying away. We won't see them that much in the year. At summer, we would see one of them. This has given us an opportunity to spend some quality time with them, which I didn't think we would ever have. So, yes, we are making the most of it. And we're enjoying quality family time. And I think people should do that everywhere.
Indeed. And I want to thank you because you have helped us choose our songs for the programme this week. We've heard them. One of my favourites, obviously, is the one that comes from Bobby's, the film, which is what your restaurant is named after. Why have you chosen these particular songs today?
Well, I think these songs are important in that the one from Bobby, obviously, it's called Meshayaz Do Nahi, which is a very important song for us. And I think it's quite iconic in that era, in the early 70s. It's a wonderful song. And the other songs, it's about community, being together. And I think they're very important, happy songs. We don't want them to be... We are going through a very difficult phase at the moment. And these are there to cheer us up.
Yeah, well, they certainly have done. Dharmesh Lakhani from the Belgrave Road in Leicester, thank you very much for joining us on Leica Radio 1458. And our best wishes from all our listeners to you and your family.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vaz, and stay safe and be well to everybody listening.
We now go over to Birmingham to talk to Noura Ali. Noura is the founder-director of the Allies Network, an organisation based in the West Midlands. Good morning, Noura.
Good morning, Keith.
Now, what's the situation like in Birmingham at the moment? Is the Bullring deserted, for example?
Birmingham is not like it was before ever we have been. It is very deserted and people are obeying the lockdown restrictions and are staying at home.
You've got a particular interest in the Somaliland community, and your organisation is there to assist them in particular. How is that community affected by coronavirus, and what is being done to assist them?
The Somaliland community of the West Midlands has been going through a period of grieving because there was quite a lot of death, a lot of confusion. As you know, they did not understand what was going on in the start due to language barriers, due to not having lack of support at home because there's a lot of single mothers and obviously you can't drag kids around to do shopping. So they had, at some instances, they've come together to support one another, but it's been a very difficult time in terms of trying to get burial permission, in terms of trying to get to see if they can get to see their loved ones before they've passed away. And as you know, you had the 13-year-old boy who passed away in London by himself. There was a lot of Birmingham citizens from Somaliland community with the same instance at the moment.
And what about the situation in Somaliland itself? Obviously, we have the benefit of a great NHS here. How is the community out there coping? Have you had any reports from the diaspora community?
Yes, Keith. They are coping as best as they can for a country that is not recognised, for a country that does not have international aid or bank aiding it. They have been putting lockdown measures. Of course, that impacted on people who are at the low spectrum of income, traders, practically everyone. So currently they are appealing for support. So we are fundraising for Somaliland COVID appeal. And we've got a GoFundMe account that people can donate what they can so they can get the necessary PPE kits and supplies and food for people. So food is very short at the moment, as you may can imagine.
Well, I'm sure you're keeping a very careful eye on things, and I know that everyone in our community in the United Kingdom will want to assist their relatives and friends over there. Noura Ali, thank you so much for joining us this morning from Birmingham in the West Midlands.
Thank you. You're welcome, Keith.
This is
Like a Radio.
That's it for this week. My thanks go to all my guests, especially the British Asian Trust team, the Chief Executive Richard Hawkes, Hitton and Nina. Please give generously to this appeal and never forget how lucky we are to be living in the United Kingdom with one of the best health services in the world. Thanks also to Damesh for choosing our songs. Happy birthdays this week to Geeta Patel in Ealing and to Kareem Alakirby in Golders Green, who is going to be 84. And of course, mega congratulations to Prime Minister Boris Johnson and his partner Carrie on the birth of their new baby boy. The big question is not going to be when lockdown is going to end, but what's going to be the name of his new son. Amitabh, Abhishek, Shahrukh, Amir, Ashok? What do you think? Let me know. I'm sure we'll find out soon enough. Thanks to station managers Sunil, my wonderful producers Rupi and Lucas. This has been Keith Vaz on Like a Radio 1458, signing off with a song from the great Rishi Kapoor, who sadly passed away on Thursday of this week. It's from the Bollywood hit Bobby.
Like a Radio.
मैं शायर तो नहीं, मैं शायर तो नहीं, मगर ऐ हंसी जब से देखा मैंने तुझको मुझको शायरी आ गई मैं शायर तो नहीं मगर हंसी जब से देखा मैंने तुझको मुझको शायरी आ गई मैं आशिक तो नहीं मगर हंसी जब से देखा मैंने तुझको मुझको आशिकी आ गई मैं शायर तो नहीं का नाम मैंने सुना था मगर प्यार क्या है ये मुझको नहीं थी खबर प्यार का नाम मैंने सुना था मगर प्यार क्या है ये मुझको नहीं थी खबर मैं तो उलझा रहा उलझनों की तरह दोस्तों में रहा दुश्मनों की तरह मैं दुश्मन तो नहीं मैं दुश्मन तो नहीं मगर हंसी जब से देखा मैंने तुझको मुझको दोस्ती आ गई मैं शायर तो नहीं सोचता हूँ अगर मैं दुआ मांगता हाथ अपने उठा कर मैं क्या मांगता सोचता हूँ अगर मैं दुआ मांगता हाथ अपने उठा कर मैं क्या मांगता जब से तुझसे मोहब्बत मैं करने लगा तब से जैसे इबादत मैं करने लगा मैं काफिर तो नहीं मैं काफिर तो नहीं मगर हंसी जब से देखा मैंने तुझको मुझको बंदगी आ गई मैं शायर तो नहीं मगर हंसी जब से देखा मैंने तुझको मुझको शायरी